In here, everybody from home, appreciate your all's outlets, letting you be here, reporting back home. So appreciate that first. Complete game. I thought it was dominant. I've got a ton of respect for Mike Gundy and what they've done from a program perspective. And I'm not sure how many times I've been here, but the last two we've came in here and been able to win, and those are special wins. Today was special. I thought our preparation, staff-wise, player-wise, mentally, physically, emotionally, I thought our guys were ready to go. I was really proud of how we handled the bye week. We asked them to go 3 days, and they went, and then we gave them some downtime, and they needed it. And sometimes time away is real positive. But we were ready to go today. And all I asked this team is, man, we're focused on week to week. And I think we talked about in the press conference on Monday is just go 1-0 and just compete on every single play. Just compete. And that's all we can ask for. And I thought across the board, man, we competed today. And going into it, Tony and I talked about it for a long time on the radio on Thursday night. The keys were going to be who can run the football better, who can establish it, and then who can score points in the red zone, preferably touchdowns in the red zone. And if you look at it, obviously we won the rushing game big, and then in the red zone, we didn't score as touchdowns every time, but we were 6 of 7, and the one that we didn't get was the Neal down there at the end of the game. So, starting on defense, I thought P&10 was huge. That's the first drive of the series. And when they've had success versus us across the years, that's where they've had success. And then when you get into second and short, they can do either. And so we got them behind the chains early. I thought we did a good job, best we've done all year getting off the field. And we got them in some third and longs, which is always helpful. And then, I know Oklahoma State's fans are going to talk about Ollie Gordon. That dude's a player, man. He's a player. And for us to hold him to that yards, I think says a lot about just the will of our guys. And then offensively, man, we talked about, we have not ran the ball up until today, like I think how we're capable of. And it's really a team approach. When you do as much in the run game as we do, and the perimeter and all that kind of stuff, the quarterback run game, the things we do, it's really an all 11. The quarterback's a factor. Our running back, especially C.J. Donaldson, we asked him to block quite a bit today. Our tight ends, this is the best they've played. Cole Taylor, he wasn't targeted like we normally do. But, man, he blocked really good on the perimeter. Our receivers were huge factors. When you go back and watch the TV copy of this, you're going to see our receivers at the point of attack. And so to come in here and run for 389 is special. This will be something that we remember. And we were really good on third down. And so we had some injuries. I'll give you more of an update on that. Garrett went out and wanted to make sure that he was 100% before we put him back in the game. Credit Nico. I've said this really going back to the spring that I felt like we had two quarterbacks that were capable of winning in the Big 12. I think we showed that today. And we had a lot of guys that got injured in the secondary. We played, there was KK, Israel Boyce. We had a bunch of guys that played in the secondary because of some injuries. I'll have an update on those on Monday. I don't have an update right now. And so Greg starts off.
You go back to the defense for a little bit. What concentration would you guys want to focus on coming in? Because obviously you shut down their run game. You say that's going to be our first focus. What was it defensively you wanted to start?
I think it's been a process, since the Pitt game, of simplifying and figuring out who we are and what can we do well, and then how can we do those things but still disguise coverages, move our front to confuse the defense, and that's what we've done. Today, like our first order of business, and you can go back and watch the press conference on Monday, I said this, and I said this in the radio show on Thursday, is we were coming in here to stop the run. Like we had to stop the run. And they were throwing for 300+ yards, and if they did that today against us, I wasn't going to be overly concerned, but I wanted to make them one-dimensional and stop the run, and we did that. And then from a coverage structure, we were better on our drop zones, and we're getting better at that. We got to continue to work on it. They still got in there, especially when some of our young guys were in the game in the second half. But that's been kind of the evolution defensively. And I'm proud of our staff. Like you go through hard times, and they got beat up, and I told them, like, I've been there before in my career, and you just got to put your head down and go to work. And if you work, and your guys are going to feed off of you, and the belief and how you coach them, they're going to follow, and that's what's happened over the last couple of weeks.
So you're feeding that message, obviously, to your team all week about stopping the run. They come out, and I think Ollie gets the ball first 4 plays or first 5 plays, something like that. When you stop that, Is that just like the ultimate reinforcement? You can tell your guys, hey, here we go. This is what we wanted to do.
Well, we felt like coming into the game, because they ran the ball early against Kansas State and did a nice job. So we felt like coming into the game that they were going to try to get him the ball. And we felt like they were going to run it and play with tempo. And they did both early. I think the first handoff of the game he had pretty good. And then we got him on that second and third down. He barely got to third down. But that was I think, very, very big confidence builder. And for us to score, people ask me, well, why do we take the ball all the time? And I was telling our team the other day, the reason we take the ball is because if you do that over the course of a year, you're going to get more possessions. And so that's why we take the ball. A lot of teams defer. We take it because I think the more possessions you got, the more opportunity to score. And also I feel like on the road, if you can get ahead, then man, you really take the crowd out of it just a little bit. And the crowd is a factor here because the noise stays in. But we were able to get that field goal. We'd like to score a touchdown, but we were able to get that field goal. And then we got that stop, on the second set of downs, and then we were able to go score a touchdown. And I thought that was critical in how the game unfolded.
Neal, as much as you rep it and prepare him for it, how tough is it for Nico to come in and make that throw that he did on the third play that he came in?
Yeah, so what I've told him is when he played last year, we couldn't call the game just like when Garrett was in. We couldn't do that. And part of that was he wasn't completely ready, and part of that is we didn't have a third. So now we have a third that we feel really good about in Ryder Burton, and he's matured, and he's kept getting better, guys. Like, I know, like, I say that, and y'all are like, whatever, but, like, he's gotten a lot better, and, like, he's capable of winning games right now. And so as soon as Garrett was down, I was able, like, I knew he was going to be out for a little bit. And I just told Nico, I was like, hey, the same thing I told you on Thursday is how we're going to handle this. We're going to call a game just like you're in, or just like Garrett was in. You know the plan. We're intentional during the week to get him reps. And so we have a lot of faith in him. And he came in through a strike. And that was a 3rd and goal. They dropped back, and Traylon Ray ran a great route. Not a good route, a great route. And he put it right on him. So proud of both those guys.
Go ahead.
You talked on Monday about carrying the confidence over from the Kansas win. How does winning here on the road just continue to build that confidence in this team?
Yeah, I don't think the confidence was ever shaken other than just some things in our pass coverage. Offensively, we might be overconfident sometimes. And so really, to me, it was the resiliency and then how we competed in the second half versus Kansas. That's what we had to carry over. I don't necessarily worry about the confidence of the group. I think the confidence of the group is always a direct reflection of how you handle yourself from a head coaching perspective, coordinator, et cetera, all the way down the line in the organization. So they're a confident group, but it was really taking that resiliency and that toughness that we played with in the second half and how we competed, and we were able to do that.
So your thoughts of your offensive line? Obviously, the skill guys did well, but
yeah, we were really good. Yeah, we were really good. Best we played. I think it starts with Brandon Yates. He's the one that directs traffic up there, and I thought he did a really nice job. It's a lot easier to evaluate those guys being on the field when I watch it on tape. So when I get on the plane and I watch it, I'll be able to have a better answer for you on Monday. But my assumption was, Greg, no, I'm not assuming can do, they say, one of my high school coaches used to tell me this, don't assume, and I can define that for you. But my assumption would be that if you run for 389 yards, your O-line played pretty well. That would be my assumption.
Suck it up.
We mixed it up. Yeah, we mixed it up. We ran a bunch of counter today. We ran a bunch of inside zone. We got on the edge on some power read stuff. We tried to keep them off balance, really.
Talk about depth on the offensive line. I know Yates went down there and Livingston came in, performed. Like, are you confident in the guys behind the starting five to come in?
Yeah, that it's building depth on the O-line is so hard, and I think when you establish yourself as a program, and what I mean that is when you've recruited and you've had time to develop your roster, it really shows on your OLDO. And so on the defensive line, we've been overcoming injury to Eddie V, and who's one of our starter, one of our better players, one of our leaders on our team. We've been able to overcome that because our development program, when I say development, man, I'm talking athletic training, strength conditioning, nutrition, all these pouring into these young guys. And it's the same way on the offensive front. So Landon Livingston, who played today, Johnny Williams, who's played 2 games, a good bit of snaps, Sully Weedman, who's played a good bit of snaps. When those guys come in, and I could go on, when those guys come in, they're prepared, because they've redshirted. They've played a lot of football. They understand schematically what we're trying to do. And it helps too, if you look at it, we got 3 guys that work with the offensive line, and it's one of the real benefits. We got 3 guys that work with our defensive line, and it's one of the real benefits to the new rule where you can have more guys coach, because we're able to do meetings 2 different times. Developmental guys are in one meeting, the older guys are in one meeting. We stay after and do some fundamentals and some scrimmaging stuff with those guys, so they continue to get reps and they're getting coached on those reps, and it shows when they get opportunities.
Feel like Jaheim have that explosion back that he really
Well,
hadn't had this year as much?
Yeah, well, it's been as much about us getting him the ball in the right situation. So first, I take ownership of that, and that's what I told him. I can't remember what day that he and I spent some time together during the bye week. I just told him, I said, listen, man, like I take complete ownership is from a touch perspective and how we're getting you the ball at the certain parts of the field. We got to do a better job, you know. And like he's not a good player, he's a great player. Like if this would have been a different game, like we planned to throw it to him several times too. But once you get up and we're having success in the run game, and I just told the receivers and Cole after the game, I was like, hey, listen, guys, like I want y'all to enjoy this. Your stats aren't going to be what you want them to be, but there's going to be games where we're going to have to throw it for 300, and you're going to have multiple touches. It just wasn't one of those games, and the number one thing is to win, you know, and so. But Jaheim, good back to him. I think he's a great player. He showed that. He was a tough tackler today, you know, and CJ, I thought CJ did a nice job. He had some tough runs, but Jaheim really made people miss in space.
Garrett obviously gets a lot of credit for his scrambling ability, but it seems like he's really blossomed on the quarterback leads, the draws, following the center, and playing off that block. Is that?
It's been a process.
Is it?
It's been a process, but he's a good runner. Nico's a good runner too. Nico had some really good runs there while Garrett was out. Now I don't know about the slide. That's bad ball. Bad ball.
But in developing that, though, is that, you know, it's something that just some people have and other people have to work
No,
to? Because
yeah,
it seems like it was really
it
good
does.
the past couple of weeks.
He is. So Garrett, and I could go on. This could be a long talk, so I'm going to keep it short. But Garrett's evolution is just as a football player, from the time that I first met him at 15 to now, is tremendous. As far as his overall understanding, you know, early in his career, he just running, he didn't really understand the scheme. Now he actually understands the scheme. Like he can draw it up on a board for you. He can tell you where it's supposed to hit. And so having that knowledge of where the ball's supposed to hit and where your kick out block's coming from, all those things, you know, that's what made him better. You know, Nico's still in that process. Like we called a run going down to the closed in by their students, and he should have easily walked in, and he kept it outside. That's going to continue to grow for him. You know, he's probably he's a more north and south, but he's a real tough tackle too. Like he ran over a safety today, but he's got to get some of that understanding the schematics of it, and he'll get better at it.
So momentum doesn't necessarily carry over to
I wish
the
it
game,
did, yeah,
but how
yeah.
much momentum does this give you now?
No, I think that, you know, this league's really hard, and each week's a new challenge. And so what you have to do is, like, you want to celebrate it. You know, I think sometimes, you know, we don't take enough in this profession to really celebrate. Like, this is a really big deal. We came into a tough venue versus a program that's won 10 games a lot of times against a head coach that's going to be in the Hall of Fame at some point, and we played a complete game. And so that's a big deal. So we want to enjoy that. You know, we want to enjoy the plane ride home. We want to watch the game tomorrow, and then when we flip it over to Iowa State, like, I know that's a huge challenge. You know, and it's going to be completely different. You know, they got the best defense in our league, right? They ran the ball effective. You know, I watched them during the bye week, and so I know who they are. I know what they're about. I'm not starting from scratch tomorrow. I've got a lot of respect for what they do and how Matt's done it there. But we need to enjoy this. And then this league, man, y'all are seeing it. Y'all are seeing it how it is. Every week you have an opportunity to win, but you also have an opportunity to lose. And it's not being the better team overall, it's being the better team that day. And that's what we've got to get prepared for. We got to get healthy too. We got to get our guys healthy.
Okay, thank you very much.